What is going on, YouTube? I'm Brandon. You are back in the Gillstrap garage, and we are gonna make some progress on the exhaust. I've got it pulled off right now. I got myself some nice, thick metal that we are gonna use to make the bracket. And now, let me turn this around and show you what I was thinking. I was gonna mount this up here and drill some holes and try to keep it centered to where my exhaust was gonna line up, and I was thinking about all the different ways to do it, and then I was gonna bend it out and whatever. I had this whole thought process going on in my head. Then I started holding up the metal, and I thought that is about the dumbest way that I could do it. What I'm gonna do is get this big old piece, probably have to chop it down a little bit, take like a third of it off, and then I'm gonna drill my mounts in the back, bolt it to the exhaust, then bolt the exhaust onto the bike, and then figure out what kind of angles I need to make to mount up to here before it gets welded on, and then we trim all this off and all that, yada yada. So that's gonna be the game plan. I'm gonna take the bracket off of the exhaust, mount it up here, drill a couple holes, and let's get moving. I'll do it on this side here because it doesn't really matter. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab a tape and mark some center lines. You can see this hole, these holes right here are kind of offset. I think I'm gonna try to center this up a little bit better. So let me do that real quick. It's exactly 2 inches. A grease pencil would have been nice, but I don't have one. Got some little X marks the spots there. Let me find my center punch. Looks good to me. Okay, let's go over to the other side of the bike. Okay, I'm gonna set our exhaust back up here. Okay, I think I'm gonna chop it right about here. Let's go do some cutting. Damn, that thing is noisy. Quiet. It's not perfect, but this end is gonna get cut more back here anyway, so let's go get it mounted on the exhaust. Part of the problem is I'm trying to bolt this up. See my bolt, you can see my bolt holes there. It's kind of dark, but I go to bolt it up and I'm hitting on this clamp here. So I'm gonna have to pull this clamp out of the way and do my best to not move the exhaust bracket or the exhaust muffler at all. So let's pull that, and we'll have a little more room. So much for not wanting to move this thing. But this is just in my way. I know I've got it pushed all the way back, so Should be all right. Okay, now let's see if we can, so I know I need this thing pulled all the way back. Let's see if I tighten these, if it'll stay. Now let's make sure that's enough to get my dipstick out. Perfect. And now we gotta measure. I gotta take measure here. We gotta see what our gap is here in the back. I've got 1 3/8 inches. Back here I've got about 1 5/8 because this bracket kicks out a little bit. So I'm gonna have to measure out a couple points where I'm gonna wanna bend this thing. I'll have to get an angle going in. I'll find a spot to angle it in and then angle it back out to run the length of this. So I'll probably take it in about here and then angle it right back out, and then we'll put some gussets in that bend right there. So it's not too much further out than the stock exhaust to make it line up right. Let's see what it looks like from this kind of profile here from the back. It doesn't look ridiculous. It's in the length of the bags. I have my mid control pulled off right now. It does look like that's a pretty big gap out this way. Overall, I think it'll work. When we'll really put it to the test is when we go hit some corners, see how soon that exhaust touches down. I mean, it's kind of high up, but I don't know. I'm still hopeful. I don't hate it yet. I think I'll be a lot more excited when I get this thing permanent. But as far as today goes, it is freezing out here right now. This weekend's gonna be really nice, so I'll be able to open up that door, get some good light in here, make some progress. I'm going inside, so see you right now. All right, let's keep on keeping on. I got a coat hanger and cut the flat part off the bottom. And I'm gonna set this up here and kind of use it as a gauge to bend this metal here and see where we're gonna have to make some bends on our real bracket. I'm gonna get set up right now and we're gonna make these bends and make this happen. So I'll try to line this up. That'll be our back. Let me try to mark this thing. I think this is right about where I want to start the bend here. Okay, and then this will be right where we need to bend it back. That looks pretty good, I would say. And this is just a rough guideline. We'll have to dial it in a little better with our piece right here, with our new piece right here. But we're gonna unbolt this, mark it up, and put some heat on it and throw it in the vise and bender. Yeah, that's probably gonna burn right off when I put some heat on it, but I got a couple little marks there. Let's go over to the vise and start going at it. All right, I'm gonna go mock that up real quick, see what she looks like. Okay, now the only thing, I need it to bend on this line. And it bent a little higher up last time. So now I need to push her in. I don't know, that might be pretty close. Okay, I need to push this in a little more. That may have been too much. Okay, I need to slice off about that much of it so I can get closer on my fitment. The struggles of YouTube. I just went to change the camera angle and saw that I didn't record making any of this. I just chopped a little bit off here, made a couple bends. I'm gonna clean this up and we're gonna do some better fitment on the bike. Not too shabby. I'm actually pretty stoked with that. Okay, I got the clamp back on there. Let's throw the bolt back in and get it tight. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill a couple holes all the way through here. I have to drill these. I have to drill the plate first, then mark the other side, drill that side, and then I'm gonna bolt it through. And then I think I'm also gonna drill a few small holes so I can kind of like, you know, I'd probably do it on the back side so I can plug weld it and then grind it flat. And then we'll run our beads across the top, across the bottom, and then trim off all the fat from the rest of this bracket. But she's coming along and it's not looking terrible. And then of course, you know, we'll get all this cleaned up around here too. Just make it all look as nice as we can. Let's do 3 of them. To hell with it. Okay, now unbolt this again. Okay, and just like that, we're gonna have 3 holes in here. Those little dots are gonna give me a little bit of an idea on where to line this sucker up at. There it is. Let's go drill some holes. Let's see how I did. These are still semi-loose. So what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to take this apart one more time. I've got a sandblaster at work and I've got some like some of my flap disc stuff. Take all the finish off of this plate right here where it's gonna be welded. So I'll take it off, rip the finish off, bring it back, bolt it back up, and make sure that it's in the position I need it to be. Cinch these bolts down and it shouldn't move, and then I'm just gonna start running beads in and lock this thing down, trim off all the stuff that we're not gonna wanna see anymore. And should be ready to rock. We'll be ready to powder coat that thing. Then I'm gonna have to come up with a bracket for this exhaust, or for the exhaust. I'm gonna have to come up with a bracket for my foot peg here. It's just gonna have to come up and out a little bit to clear the position of this pipe. It shouldn't be too extreme, but it'll be looking good. I might mess with that a little bit. I think I'll take this brake arm off right here, or take this brake linkage off right here and mount it up and kind of show you what I'm looking at. So this is how we're looking with this. If I set it up about that high, I can probably go a little lower, then it'll make it there. I'll just have to make sure that when I go to set that up, I'll be putting the brake arm into position where it's gonna clear the exhaust, and I'll get, I'm not gonna limit the travel on my brake pedal. So one more piece to the puzzle, but I've got that bracket figured out, which feels really good. I think it's gonna look pretty good. Hopefully, for all the work I'm putting into it, it's gonna sound pretty good as well. But yeah, I think I'm gonna about wrap this video up. I don't think I'm gonna make another video on the rest of this bracket. I'm just gonna finish this thing up at work, because that's where I've got all of my good equipment, welder, all that stuff. I've got a flux core welder here, but I'm not gonna run flux down that. That's gonna look terrible and not take and whatever. So keep staying tuned on the build. Once the exhaust and the foot peg are buttoned up, then we'll have everything that I want powder coated sent out for powder coat, which will be the bracket, the foot peg bracket, the bars I took off in my last video. You can go check that out if you want to see me tearing that down. I'm gonna pretty much powder coat everything. One more thing I'm gonna do is I got some new lights that I'm gonna be wiring up. I think I'm gonna run them on my crash bar. I don't know if I'm gonna leave them constantly hot, like when the bike's on, they're on, or if I'm gonna run a switch into this little plate that I've been working on right here. I may put a little toggle switch or a push button or something where I can turn them off and on. So stay tuned, don't want to miss it. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Drop a comment if you got any suggestions, concerns, whatever, you know how it goes. I'll see you guys in the next video.